Re-sitting there, staring at your phone. It's been 2 days since our last text. Nothing since, no replies, just silence that feels heavier with every passing hour. Your mind keeps looping back to that last moment you spent together. The way she looked at you just a little longer, the way she leaned in like she didn't want to leave. You weren't imagining it. You felt her energy. You knew she cared. So why now? Why the quiet? Your thoughts start spinning, whispering that maybe she's drifting away, that she's losing interest. But there's something deeper, your gut, and it's telling you this isn't the end. It's something else. What if this silence isn't about rejection, but about revelation? What if her distance isn't to punish you, but to see you clearly? What if how you respond right now will either shatter her attraction or make it unshakable? Type this in the comments. I rise, not chase. Let that be your grounding statement. A reminder that your worth isn't up for negotiation. This video is for the man who's ever sat in confusion, asking himself, why would she pull back if she said she cared? You're about to find out why women sometimes step away, not because they're done, but because they're feeling something real. And you'll learn exactly how to handle this space, without games, without begging, just by being rooted in your presence, your power, your peace. If this message hits something in you, support the channel. Not for me, but for the next man sitting in this same stillness, questioning everything, hoping it still meant something. Number 1, she still feels you, even in silence. While you're stuck in your head, overthinking her silence, second-guessing her last words, and replaying every interaction like a scene you can't stop rewinding, she's tuning in to something else entirely. She's not blind. She's not cold. She's sensing, and she's listening, not with her ears, but with her intuition. You assume she's pulling away. You tell yourself she must be over it. But what you don't realize is that her silence is its own kind of message, one that speaks volumes. A woman doesn't just switch off without a reason. She feels everything. The shift in your tone, the cracks in your confidence, the quiet desperation hiding between your words. And when she senses that your center is starting to wobble, when you stop being grounded in who you are and start looking to her to feel okay, something inside her pulls back. Not to punish you, not to play games, but because that neediness breaks the magnet. This is the part where most men fall apart. They reach, they chase, they overcompensate. They post something just to get her attention, or they send that extra text hoping to reignite her interest. But in doing so, they reveal the truth she feared, that the man she thought was solid isn't. She's not distancing herself because she's angry. She's watching, feeling, testing. She's trying to see if the calm you showed her was real, or if it fades the moment she steps away. What she's waiting to feel is whether your energy stays grounded, even when hers begins to drift. That quiet moment isn't just empty space. It's where attraction is tested. And the man who passes isn't the one trying to win her back, but the one who doesn't need to. She can feel when you're steady. She can feel when you're calm. And she definitely feels when your actions are driven by fear, not strength. Real connection doesn't grow in certainty. It thrives in mystery, in that subtle tension where you stop trying to hold her and start holding yourself. So when she starts to pull away, don't chase. Don't beg. Don't rewind the past looking for clues. Focus inward. Get sharper. Get busier. Get stronger. Use that silence as fuel to level up. Women aren't pulled in by what you say. They're pulled in by the weight of your presence. The less you explain, the more your energy does the talking. When she goes quiet, stay grounded. When she steps back, don't follow. And when she stops affirming you, you affirm yourself. Because the moment she realizes your peace isn't tied to her attention, something shifts. That's when the curiosity kicks in. That's when you become magnetic again. Because in the dance of desire, the one who holds their frame, the one who doesn't flinch, is the one who draws her in. Every time you stay still when she pulls away, you remind her of the man she was first drawn to, the one with focus, direction, and peace that didn't rely on her. The man who didn't rely on her love to feel whole. That's the man who wins. So how do you pass this moment? It starts with stillness, with presence. You fight the urge to reach out. You replace the impulse to check your phone with the discipline to check in with yourself. You dive into your purpose so deeply that her silence feels like background noise, not heartbreak. You don't prove your worth with words. You prove it with how unbothered you remain. You show her you don't chase, you attract. You don't fold, you refocus. Because while she's feeling your absence, she's searching for one thing: confirmation. Not that you miss her, but that your sense of self doesn't vanish without her. That you're grounded, that you're real, that you're not just confident, you're centered. Say less, do more. Let your distance speak volumes. Let your energy, not your anxiety, do the talking. You're not being forgotten. You're being observed. And every decision you make right now is telling her something. Either that you're like every man she's known, or someone entirely different. So pause and ask yourself, are you the man who needs her validation to stand tall? Or are you the one who grows stronger in the quiet until she starts to question what she let go? Number 2, be the anchor, not the storm. When she starts pulling away, when her messages get shorter and her presence starts to fade, she's not just drifting, she's watching. She's not tracking your words or how many texts you send. She's tuning into something deeper, your emotional weight, your steadiness. The moment you shift into panic mode, trying to fix it, chasing her with reassurance, you start to lose the very presence that drew her in. If she sends a dry, okay, and you respond with a flood of text trying to win her back, you lose your center. If she withdraws and you rush to seek validation, you send a clear message. I need your attention to feel enough. But that's not what she wants. Not really. She wants to know what's underneath the surface. When she steps back, she's not punishing you. She's searching for proof. She wants to know if you hold your frame when she lets go of hers. Can you stay solid when things feel uncertain? A man who needs constant affirmation isn't someone she can lean on. A man who spirals the moment she gets quiet is someone she can't trust with her emotions. She needs to know that if life gets messy, you're not going anywhere. That when things feel shaky, you stay grounded. That when she pushes, you don't flinch. Being the anchor isn't about shutting down. It's about staying composed, not cold but clear, not hard but steady. Women feel things with force, fast, raw, real. But they'll never open up to a man who falls apart just because they need space. When she says, I need a moment, she doesn't need your panic. She needs your strength. Do you crumble? Or do you stay rooted? When she cools off, do you chase approval? Or do you stay calm and centered in who you are? Being her peace doesn't mean being silent. It means not being shaken. The anchor doesn't beg for calm. It holds, even when the waves rise. That's the heart of it. Where her emotions rise like waves, crashing and wild. Do you stand firm or get swept under? Real power isn't loud. It's self-control. The strength to pause before reacting. To breathe instead of break. To see clearly instead of spiraling. That's the difference. That's what makes a man feel safe. Not in a soft, predictable way, but in a way that makes her want to exhale and just be not manage, not protect herself. Just trust. So what now? You stop needing her to manage your emotions. You stop placing your peace in her hands. You stop trading your stability for approval. Instead, you lock into your mission so deeply that her silence becomes a whisper in the background. You build a life so grounded that her emotional storms don't shift your focus. You train your mind to hold still, not to suppress, but to respond with clarity, not chaos. She's not asking you to be cold. She's hoping you'll be inevitable. She wants to feel you without you begging to be felt. She wants your stillness to thunder, your absence to echo, not as retreat, but as strength. Because when you become that man, the one who doesn't shake when she storms, something shifts. She doesn't return because you chased. She comes back because you stood still. You You didn't argue. You didn't perform. You showed her exactly who you are without a single word. And in a world full of noise and doubt, that kind of presence is unforgettable. Now ask yourself, when she tests you, do you panic? Or do you stand so firmly in who you are that her push only reveals your power? Be the man who doesn't move. Not to resist her, but to prove she's finally found something that won't fall apart when things get real. Number 3, her chaos needs. You're calm. Her emotions won't always arrive gently. Sometimes they crash in without warning, loud, messy, raw. But your job isn't to match the chaos. It's to stay grounded through it. She's not looking for someone to shut her down or fix how she feels. She's looking for a steady presence, one that can hold space without needing control. Not by overpowering her, but by simply being there, unshaken. You don't earn her respect by reacting to every mood swing. You earn it by standing firm when she's unsure of herself, by not making her emotions about you. Because the second she sees that her feelings can throw you off balance, the trust starts to crack. Not because she's testing you to be cruel, but because she needs to know you're steady when life isn't. She needs to feel something stronger than the chaos inside her. And it's not your explanations, not your logic. It's your calm, your ability to stay composed when everything feels uncertain. Most people confuse power with control, but real strength? It's restraint. It's knowing when silence speaks louder than solutions. When distance doesn't need chasing. When your presence can hold more weight than your words ever could. When she spirals, the weak man scrambles to fix it. The strong one remains still, quiet, listening, unafraid. Because he knows it's not about solving her. It's about showing her that she's safe to feel and that he won't disappear when things get heavy. Her chaos doesn't need reaction. It needs foundation. And if you can be that, she'll feel it. Even if you say nothing at all. Her silence is not punishment. It's a mirror. Her distance, her coldness, it's not a game. It's a question. If I fall apart, will you hold steady or fall apart with me? When she pulls back, it's not always about pushing you away. Sometimes, it's her way of seeing if you come undone the moment you're no longer the center of her world. And that's when your calm becomes everything. Not just for you, but for her. It's the emotional ground she walks on. If it crumbles, she can't trust it. So how do you stay centered? You train yourself not to react. You give your emotions time to settle before they speak. You move from needing to control to choosing to understand. You stop trying to convince her that you're enough and start living like you already are. She's not asking you to be flawless. She's asking you to be solid. She's not waiting on answers. She's feeling for stability. A man whose presence doesn't rise and fall with her emotions. A man who remains, even when her mood doesn't. That's rare, and if you want to be rare, then act like it. When she backs away, don't chase. When she shuts down, don't force your way in. When she lashes out, don't match the energy. Stay still, breathe, recalibrate. Channel that fire into building yourself, your body, your mindset, your purpose, your finances, your tribe. Because every time you meet chaos with calm, she sees something real, something rare. And more than that, you feel it. You feel the quiet power of being the one thing that doesn't break. Not by fixing her, not by proving anything, but by standing firm in who you are. So ask yourself, when she spins out, do you spin with her? Do you try to say the right thing just to stop the discomfort? Do you take her emotion as your burden? Or do you become the one man she can't shake? The one who doesn't flinch, doesn't fold, doesn't lose himself? Because her chaos isn't your threat. It's your opportunity to rise. Number 4, let her leave, but don't close the door. When she starts pulling away, texts slow down, her tone goes cold. You feel it. That ache in your chest. That silence that doesn't scream, but stings. And right there, your instinct kicks in. Chase. Fix. Explain. Do anything to stop her from slipping away. But here's the truth. If you chase her in fear, you show her something she hoped wasn't true. that your confidence only existed when she was near, that your strength wasn't rooted, it was borrowed from her attention. And once she sees that the man she was once drawn to can't stand without her, the entire dynamic shifts. You were never meant to hold her hostage. You were meant to be the kind of man she chooses, not the one who clings when things get quiet. A woman doesn't want to be smothered. She wants to feel free and still feel pulled toward you. So when she says she needs time, give it. When she's unsure, don't press. When she creates space, respect it, not as a move, but as a mindset. Your world doesn't stop turning because she hit pause. Your identity isn't built on her reassurance. Your value doesn't drop because her energy does. If you want to stand out, don't follow the crowd. While others beg for her back, over-message, overreach, you rise, you sharpen, you focus. You become so aligned with your purpose that your absence speaks for itself. And in that space, she won't forget you. She'll feel you. Not because you try to win her back, but because you didn't fall apart when she left. Let her walk, not out of pride, but out of peace. Because you care about you enough not to abandon yourself for her confusion. And if she does come back, it'll be for the same reason she was drawn to you in the first place. Because you never begged. You stood tall, and that kind of presence, it echoes long after you've gone quiet. That memory, it's going to stay with her. Not as a regret, but as a question. Did she walk away from a man, or just a moment? And that question makes all the difference. You don't need to slam the door behind her. You just need to stop begging her to stay inside. Let's stay open, but don't block the exit. If what you shared was real, if she truly felt your presence, she won't erase it. She might try to distract herself. She might pull away and pretend it meant less. But even in the silence, you'll echo. And that echo won't be your voice or your texts or any grand gesture. It'll be your stillness, your absence, carried with grace. That's the quiet strength of the man who doesn't chase. That's the pull of the man who doesn't crumble. That's the peace of the man who chooses self-respect over pursuit. Ask yourself, are you living in a way that would make her question what she left? Are you evolving while she's distant, or holding on to what's gone? Are you building a life so meaningful, so full, that even if she never returns, you haven't lost? You don't lose her by letting go. You lose yourself when your need for her drowns your purpose. So let her walk. And while she's walking, rise. Not for her return, but for the life you're meant to lead. A life that will either call her back or open the door for someone who never needs to leave to recognize your worth. Number 5, hold your ground when she pulls away. When she starts to drift, responding slower, sounding colder, stepping back, it's easy to think you need to act. Say more, do more, fix it before it's gone. But this moment isn't asking for movement. It's asking for stillness. Because when she pulls away, she's not always hoping you'll chase her. Sometimes, she's waiting to see if you'll stay centered. This is where most men lose themselves. They get anxious. They overreach. They start trying to earn her attention again, thinking their effort proves their value. But she's not looking for proof. She's feeling for presence. And true presence doesn't shout. It doesn't scramble. It simply remains. In that silence, you're being observed. Not for what you say, but for who you are when no one is validating you. If her distance causes your energy to shift, if you start orbiting her emotions instead of standing in your own, she feels it. And slowly, the respect begins to fade. What she truly wants is to feel that your identity isn't built on her approval. She wants to know you're rooted, that your peace doesn't break just because she created space. The man who stays focused, steady, and clear when she withdraws, that's the man who catches her attention again. Not by force, but by mystery, by making her wonder why you didn't flinch. That wondering plants something new in her, a quiet pull. Because deep down, she senses what words can't explain. Stillness is strength. If you fall apart when she pulls away, your calm was never real. It was just comfort fed by attention. But the man who holds his ground when she runs, he's not clinging to her affection. He's anchored to something far deeper. And that is what makes him rare. Stillness isn't reacting every time she pulls away. It's not mirroring her silence or playing emotional catch-up. It's choosing to remain grounded when everything around you feels uncertain. That kind of consistency, it becomes magnetic. You master stillness by choosing discipline over distraction. You create structure in your days. You get uncomfortable on purpose. You stop living in reaction to her energy and start living in alignment with your mission. You don't panic, you pivot. You don't beg, you build. Every time you want to respond from fear, you redirect that emotion into growth, into your mind, your body, your focus, not to win her back, but to become unshakable within yourself. The man who constantly seeks her validation will never lead. You have to become the kind of man who walks through her silence without losing himself, who sits in uncertainty with strength, who waits, not passively, but with presence. Stillness is not weakness. It's energy. It's leadership. It's the invisible force that separates boys who chase from men who attract. She's not testing whether you care. She's testing whether you're stable. Can you hold your frame when she spirals? Can you embody peace when she erupts? Can you lead when she loses ground? If you flinch, you lose presence. If you break, she loses trust. If you react, she retreats. But if you stay calm, if you keep moving forward, not toward her, but toward your purpose, something shifts. Because the man who doesn't chase is the man who stays in her mind. Not as a memory, but as a standard. Ask yourself this. Who are you when no one's validating you? Who do you become when she walks away? Do you collapse or do you rise? Stand still, not to prove a point, not out of pride, but out of strength, out of certainty. Let her go if she needs to. And when she looks back, let her see a man who never stopped becoming more calm, clear, and completely untouchable. Number 6, be the man she can't shake. When she grows quiet, when her energy shifts, when her warmth turns into hesitation, she's not just pulling back. She's paying attention. Beneath it all, she's watching to see if you're solid or just pretending to be. And the men who lose her, they're always the ones trying to talk their way into staying, explaining, convincing, pleading to be seen as enough. But attraction doesn't grow from comfort. It grows from contrast, from the tension of watching a man remain steady while her emotions shift like waves. If you want to live in her memory long after you've gone silent, stop managing what she thinks of you. Start managing who you are. Each time you chase when she pulls back, you're saying, without words, my worth depends on you. And the second she feels that, the pull disappears. It's not about saying the right thing. It's about being someone who doesn't flinch. It's about letting your presence speak when your words would only dilute it. That kind of calm, that kind of rooted strength, that's what sticks. When you start asking why instead of rising, you fade. But when you rise without asking, when you lead yourself instead of trailing behind her moods, that's when she starts remembering you differently. Not because you try to be unforgettable, but because you already were. Because while most men crumble when a woman becomes unsure, you didn't blink, but you're not like the others. You're in a league of your own. She can't shake you because you've already made peace with solitude. You've chosen your mission first. And the life you're building, it doesn't revolve around her. It welcomes her without ever depending on her. That's the difference. A man she can shake loses his identity the moment she leaves. But a man she can't shake, he becomes sharper, stronger, more dialed in. And she feels it. While scrolling through your profile, wondering why you're not reaching out, questioning why the silence feels heavier than any goodbye. That's when something shifts. That's when her test turns into confusion. Because you're not playing by the script she's used to. She's seen men fold. She's watched them scramble for reassurance. She's met too many who need her more than they need their own purpose. But you don't flinch. You don't explain. You move differently. And she notices, not through your words, but through your silence. Through the calm that doesn't chase. Through the power that doesn't plead. And in that space, you stop being one of many. You become the one she can't stop thinking about. Not because you fought for her attention, but because you grew beyond it. That's the man she can't shake. The one who turns heartbreak into progress. The one who doesn't lose himself, he evolves. He doesn't water down his standards, he sharpens his edge. So how do you become that man? You train harder. You get focused. You kill the excuses that kept you soft. You let silence mold you. You let rejection drive you. And every second you use to spend wondering what she's thinking, you invest into becoming undeniable. Take all that energy you're wasting on overthinking and turn it into momentum. While she's wondering why you haven't reached out, you'll be too focused building a life that no longer leaves the door open for her. Because high value isn't something you say out loud. It's something you become. You evolve into a version of yourself so solid, so grounded, that she'd have to grow just to keep up with you. That's how you flip the script. That's when she starts questioning the silence she created. That's when curiosity turns to confusion, and confusion turns to craving. And by then, you're not even waiting to be chosen, because you've already chosen you. The version of woman can replace. Not because of how many like your posts or reply to your texts, but because you didn't need any of it to rise. You weren't built by approval. You were built alone. And nothing leaves a deeper mark than the man who became everything without needing anyone. She may ignore you, even if she still cares. Not to hurt you, but to test your roots. She needs to know your strength isn't surface level. Because real love, real trust, real surrender, it doesn't show up in easy moments. It's revealed in the fire, when things feel uncertain, when nothing is guaranteed. You might think she's moved on, that she's done, but sometimes silence isn't rejection. It's observation. She's watching. She's pulling back just enough to see if you collapse. She's asking without asking. If I stop pouring into him, does he fall apart? If I stop being who I was at the start, does he chase like the rest? Or does he stay rooted in who he is? A woman who loves deeply doesn't want to give herself to someone unstable. She wants to know it's safe to go all in. And safety doesn't mean comfort. It means leadership. She needs to feel your foundation before she can rest in it. Her silence might be her final test. And if you fold, if you beg, if you start chasing shadows, you've answered her question. You've shown her that her love was your lifeline instead of your gift. Think about it. If you had a daughter, would you want her to hand her heart to a man who crumbles without constant validation? Or would you want her to find the man who stands tall, still, steady, whole? That's why she pulls away. To see who you really are when she's no longer propping you up. And if you are that man, she won't forget. She won't wander far. She'll feel your silence like gravity. Because you didn't chase her. You stayed loyal to yourself. And that's what makes a man unforgettable. If it felt like these words were written for you, that's because they were. Not because we know your face, but because we've lived your pain. We've stood in that same silence. We've stared at the screen, wondering what we did wrong. We felt invisible when the person we cared for pulled away. And we came back stronger. Now it's your turn. But don't try to figure it out in the dark. Support this channel, not just for the content, but for the connection. Because what you're hearing isn't just a voice, it's a reflection. A reminder of who you are and who you're still becoming. When you support this message, you're not just clicking buttons. You're lighting the way for another man. Alone, uncertain, stuck, who needs to hear that he's not broken, just becoming. You're fueling a mission built on truth, growth, and masculine strength. So if this stirred something in you, like, comment, and subscribe. But more than that, live it. Take this energy with you into your workouts, into your job, into your focus, your craft, your everyday effort. Become the man who doesn't crack under pressure. He sharpens because of it. And if you're ready for that journey, comment below. I build myself in the silence. Because while most people fold in the quiet, you'll rise from it.